First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstones, while lunch truth, and also to those elect that are scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great and powerful lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type of day lesson is news and prophecies, global events, Psyops, propaganda, and chaos. So I'd like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this will help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, I have a few news articles, but we'll start here first with the one by CBS News. And it reads that Trump administration sending 500 more National Guard troops to D.C. after shooting, Haysav says. So let's get a little bit of this report. It said the Trump administration plans to deploy another 500 members of the National Guard to the streets of Washington, D.C. Defense Secretary Pete Haysav announced Wednesday, hours after two service members were shot, said a few blocks away from the White House. President Trump ordered the additional deployment, Haysav told reporters in Dominican Republic, said where he was traveling Wednesday. In remarks Wednesday night addressing the shooting, said Mr. Trump confirmed that he directed the department to mobilize an additional 500 troops to D.C. Says a U.S. Official has told CBS News that the Army has received the request and will work to fulfill it quickly. So right here we're seeing that, another so-called shooting has went down in Washington, D.C. About it, we don't know whether it may be psyop or propaganda or whatever it may be. It's through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So we constantly seeing these things on the rise, left and right. All of a sudden, they were saying at first that these two National Guard, they were unalive. Now they were saying that they're in critical condition. So now all of a sudden they want to put 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. But then we already know this is all by design. And one thing about it, we already know that they want this civil unrest, civil war. They want total chaos. He constantly want to mobilize the military throughout these states. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, we know right now what the true agenda is, and all of a sudden they saying that this guy that was the shooter said that he worked for the CIA. So this is all a part of the plan, all a part of the plan, and their plan book. Just like I said once before, a psyop, propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Also to create more chaos. So we're seeing that these things right now, that's what they're constantly pushing for. And also we know that they're pushing for this a digital society. So it's a lot of things that's happening. A lot of people right now relaxing in their leaves. A lot of people right now are drinking and being merry and the house of mirth and not about the house of fools. And what they about, and all these prophecies right now are popping off just like clockwork. We're here. These things are happening right before our eyes. A lot of our people are getting rocked back to sleep with all this wickedness, these pagan holidays, constantly, what I'm saying, doing all sorts of wickedness and abomination, things that is displeasing to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. The Lord said, I hate your feast day. The Lord ain't giving a damn about Thanksgiving. He's not giving a damn about Xmas. He's not giving a damn about New Year. The Lord's getting ready to return and set everything back into order. That's what, that's why we got the Lord sort of watchmen to constantly warning you about the pending danger, whether it came on a regular day or this, what you call Thanksgiving. A lot of people, going around, some people already know what things killing day is all about, but they still going to celebrate because they are despisers of the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that same rebellious house that did not want to return. So now we're seeing right here, Trump administration sending 500 more National Guard troops to D.C. after shooting, Haysav said. So all of a sudden now you need 500 additional troops in Washington D.C. And Washington D.C. is not what you call a large city. It's a city, but it's not that large. Just the Washington D.C. area alone, it's not that big. So but we seeing right now what this is all about. They constantly want to put the military against the American citizen, also to cause this civil unrest, civil war. We always been watching these movies, about Leave the World Behind, us, Civil War, what's the other one? The Purge, all these different things. They constantly putting it in your face, left and right. And also he constantly pushing toward that grain of rice. That's where we at right now, this reset. But the reset, what is coming is the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. So we seeing a lot of what? Global events. So we seeing the crisis that happening as we speak in Hong Kong. That apartment high-rise fire. I got a little AI overlook of that, and also I have a video on that. So we seeing these things are constantly picking up. Also, right here in our own backyard over in, I think it was in Alaska, whereby it was a 6.0 earthquake. It's earthquakes in diverse places. So a lot of things have happened. And also, I think a couple of days ago in Ethiopia, it was a volcano that had been asleep for over 12,000 years, and all of a sudden it has erupted. So the signs of the times are right before our eyes. But a lot of our people want to be eating and drinking and giving it to marriage, having a great old time, la 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 la, and all hell is getting ready to break loose. So now let's get this other little report about this. I got an AI overview of this about what happened in Hong Kong. This high rise apartment building fire. You know what I'm saying? Was it by design? Was this another thing? But we already know that the Lord said we're going to constantly bring all sorts of calamities and catastrophes around the world. So these things going to keep happening. It's just like a domino effect, because the Lord is calling these things to have a shell of trumpet be blown in the city. And the Lord has not done it. So the Lord is controlling all these different things around the world simultaneously. So let's read this here AI overview. Crisis in Hong Kong. It said Hong Kong is currently facing a humanitarian crisis following a massive, deadly, high-rise fire, along with an ongoing political and human rights crisis due to the implementations of a new national security law that have significantly eroded the city autonomy and civil liberties. So, that's what they're going up against, So we're seeing this civil unrest all across the world, One thing behind another, sedition among men, insurrection. These things are constantly taking place. It's also going to take place right in our own backyard. It's a current humanitarian situation. It's a major fire in a high-rise housing complex in the Tai Po district, which occurred on November the 26th, 25. It says has resulted in at least 83 deaths and 100 missing, making it one of the deadliest fire in the city recent history. It says here, impact said the fire has left many residents, particularly the elderly, who rely on public housing, potentially homeless. Said one firefighter died in the line of duty. So we'll stop it right here. So we're seeing these global events constantly picking up right here. All of a sudden, these high rise caught on fire. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, we're going to constantly see these things pick up left and right, whether it was by design, was it manufactured, but it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. So now let's go to this one here. Sorry about the jumping around, but it's just things constantly happening left and right. You see this one right here. More news, right here, more global events here. It says this one happened in Alaska today, an early part of Thanksgiving. It says here, magnitude 6.0 earthquake shakes Alaska on Thanksgiving morning. It says here 6 hours ago, it said the strongest quake near Anchorage, Alaska in more than 4 years struck early Thursday, with reports still coming in about potential damage. Said Thanksgiving morning began with a strong earthquake in Alaska. Said the biggest to strike near Anchorage in more than 4 years. It says here the magnitude 6.0 old earthquake occurred at 8:11 a.m. Alaskan time. So on Thursday, with the epicenter located about 37 miles northwest of Anchorage, which has a population, Salakia, of around 290,000. Said there were no immediate reports of significant damage following the terror or the tremor, Salakia. So we see it right now, earthquakes every day in diverse places. Every day when we wake up, these things are constantly picking up. I have another one. It's about if I can find it. Let me see, can I find it? Let's go back out. It's another one about this Ethiopia erupted volcano. Let's go to this one here. It says here, this is another one about news break. So these things right now, one behind another. Every time, pretty much when you go to sleep, wake up, something else is happening. Also, we know about the war drums are constantly beating in Venezuela. Also, between they're trying to come with a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. So when they say peace and safety, then total destruction will come upon. That's why the Lord set up watchmen, constantly warning you of these impending dangers. We never, ever stop watching. We never are sleeping. Around the world, this truth is going out left and right. So we seeing now that a lot of people right now relaxing in their leads, and these evils are constantly growing all around us. So this one here is this one here about news break too. Also, it says Ethiopia, 12,000-year-old volcano erupts. See, ashes rises 9 miles. Said flights disrupted. So we seeing right here, man, these earthquakes in diverse places, volcanoes constantly erupting around the world. Why is these things are happening? Because we're living in the end time, real time. We're seeing nation rise against nation. We're seeing rumors of wars. We're seeing all these global events, different calamities and catastrophes constantly happen. Chaos all over the place, order out of chaos. And also we know that the devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. It says here, said the Haila Gabi, I hope I'm saying that right, said volcano in Ethiopia erupted explosively on Sunday, November the 23rd, 2025, for the first time in approximately 12,000 years. Said thick smoke surged 9 miles into the atmosphere, said eventually spreading eastward over the Red Sea. So we'll stop it right there. So the Lord's going to return in a day of gloominess, a day of darkness, but it's going to be caused by these IBCM missiles, also these volcanic activity, all that different debris up into the atmosphere. So the Lord's going to return on a day of darkness, a perilous, dark time when the Lord returns. So right here, it's going to be total chaos, but the Lord's going to end that nightmare. The Lord's going to set these things back into order. So we're seeing the signs of the times are here. We're seeing right now that, the war drums are beating. We're seeing right now these prophecies are lining up just like clockwork, one thing behind another. And also we know that we have these ice patrols are in New Orleans now. This one, another one, just another one putting in there, seeing things through the spirit. So the devil's constantly bringing forth these things. You might not even open this one up, but I got a video on it. It says ICE detained 4 people in Gretna, a shopping center near New Orleans, police say. So it's just some things I've seen in the news. So we're seeing now that ICE now is in New Orleans. Now they say they may possibly go into Mississippi also. So we constantly seeing they constantly trying to develop a police state, mobilize the military throughout the United States. This is a part of the plan. So when the uprising start, they already have these soldiers in place. So we already know it's part of the plan. Also, there's rumors that the UN is already on the ground. Also, person said they are disguised as ICE agent. Has not been confirmed, but this is what I'm hearing. But we once again, we're not ignorant of Satan devices. So now let's go here and get a quick precept before we start today's video. I think that was all the deals I had. Let's go here first in Amos chapter 3. So that's what we constantly seeing, global events, Psyops, propaganda, and also chaos, order out of chaos. They come with the chaos and come with the solution, which in fact is total control. You know what I'm saying? They come with this NWO, that grain of rice. It's right around the corner. That's what we constantly warning about. The beginning of sorrows. We're here. Amos chapter 3 and verse 6 says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord has not done it?" So right now we're seeing that the trumpet has been blown. The warning cries that went out. We warning you about these evil times. We're warning you about all these different events that's going to happen. We are warning you about what order out of chaos. We warning you about what the MOTB. We warning you about what Jacob's trouble. You know what I'm saying? The hour of temptation. We warning you about all these different things. Also, we are warning you about what the great and glorious return of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. And it says here. It says it once again, it says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid?" So a lot of our people are still are relaxing in their leads. A lot of our people are still being despisers, turning back on Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, still celebrating this wicked pagan holiday, which in fact is Thanksgiving Day, when they unalived a lot of us, try to exterminate us, during that time. So you got to look up the history of Thanksgiving Day. And it says here, "Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord has not done it?" So the Lord's calling these things to happen left and right. The Lord's controlling the events and the signs of the times all across the world, and by the powers in the hands of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. No one is going to escape the hands of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. The Lord is calling these things to happen left and right, because we're living in the end time, real time. So now let's start today's video, and after the video we'll start the lesson, and I hope that you will get edified.
Who shot 2 National Guard soldiers near the White House has been formally identified. He is 9-year-old Afghan national Ramanullah Rahangwal. The shooting occurred at the intersection of 17th Street and I Street, just a few blocks from the White House. 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard were on duty when a man approached and opened fire, seriously wounding both soldiers. Police at the scene returned fire and successfully subdued the attacker, who was also injured and arrested. Ramanullah Rahangwal entered the United States in 2021 through the Operation Allies Welcome Program, designed to rapidly resettle Afghan refugees following the U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan. He held a special immigrant visa specifically intended for individuals at risk under Taliban rule. The program now faces intense scrutiny. Investigators are thoroughly examining his background and motives, while also tracing whether warning signs were overlooked during the vetting process. Federal immigration officials have suspended processing new Afghan immigrant applications, subjecting thousands of Afghan refugees awaiting decisions nationwide to renewed scrutiny.
And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army, to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. Very productive meetings, but I want to start by saying after those meetings, myself and my team were notified that 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act targeting the best of America. Heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army, to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in crime has been historic. The increase in safety and security has been historic. But if criminals want to conduct things like this, violence against America's best, we will never back down. President Trump will never back down. That's why the American people elected him. America and our warriors, our National Guardsmen, are strong. And so we're following this very closely. We're getting information rapidly. I mentioned the faith of this country, the Christian faith, the prayers. I would ask for prayers for our National Guardsmen.
Excuse me, Mr. P.
Appeals to heaven. for our National Guardsmen, for their families, on bended knee as a War Department, as a nation.
Excuse me.
We will never back down.
Excuse
How we think about them right now.
Venezuela.
They're going to use this shooting to put even more troops on the street. On top of the National Guard members that are in D.C. illegally, after a federal judge ruled it illegal to deploy them, they're adding 500 more. 500 more National Guardsmen away from their families for no fucking reason other than we have a toddler, old, senile fuck who wants to be a dictator so fucking much he will put military against U.S. citizens. That is the entire plan. He's old, he's senile, he doesn't give a fuck about any regular person. He cares about money, he cares about power, he cares about control. Not gonna say don't obey illegal orders, I don't want the FBI at my doorstep, but motherfuck.
We do want to bring you a Fox weather alert because this just happened moments ago. A magnitude 6.0 earthquake striking about 40 miles northwest of Anchorage, Alaska. This happening just after 8 a.m. local time. Again, about 40 miles west-northwest of Anchorage, where they did report some moderate shaking, we're being told. It is important to note no tsunami threat, and that is an update from the National Weather Service, so bringing you that. But again, some people did feel this moments ago, and for people waking up and doing whatever they need to do for the holiday, maybe something you notice. But as we get more information, we'll bring it to you. But again, no tsunami threat in regards to this large quake near Anchorage, Alaska.
5,000 people have been affected by one of the deadliest fires ever seen. This afternoon, at least 70 people have been confirmed dead, and it's continuing to rise after a Hong Kong apartment block went up in flames overnight. Flames tore through the Wang Fuk Court housing complex at 2:52 local time. 8 towers, 31 stories each, home to nearly 5,000 people, a third of them elderly. Officials say 4 of the 7 burning buildings are now under control, but the others are still smoldering. And now the investigation begins. 3 construction company executives have been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter after investigators found flammable materials, mesh and plastic sheeting, covering windows during renovation works. Police say those materials may have helped the fire spread in minutes. Hong Kong's anti-corruption watchdog has also launched a criminal investigation into whether the renovation project was compromised. Outside the buildings, families have spent nearly 24 hours waiting for news.
佢同佢爸爸兩個都未出嚟，同埋我哋樓上樓下我都見到個師奶佢老公。
Another resident asked why the unit had filled with smoke in just 10 minutes. Fire crews say the intense heat, cramped flats, and collapsing scaffolding have made rescues incredibly dangerous, but insist they haven't given up. More than 800 firefighters and 128 fire engines were deployed as the city declared a 5-alarm emergency, its highest alert. Even one firefighter, 37-year-old Ho Wai Ho, lost his life in the operation. Hundreds of residents have been moved to temporary shelters. Election campaigning has also been suspended, and questions are now mounting. How did this fire start, and who allowed conditions that turned it into a catastrophe?
The fire jumped from one building to another, quickly engulfing this high-rise complex, which was home to nearly 5,000. My daughter and husband still haven't made it out, said this woman. And this distraught man named Wong told reporters his elderly wife was trapped inside. More than 700 firefighters battled to control the inferno, with one of them killed. The housing complex was under renovation, and parts of it were covered in bamboo scaffolding, which appears to have helped the fire to spread. The Hong Kong police say they found safety hazards in the buildings and have arrested 3 on suspicion of manslaughter, believed to work for a construction company. More than a day after the blaze began, hundreds are still missing. The grim task of counting all of the dead is just beginning.
We had a
25-foot zone. Back up.
That was video of ICE raiding a Home Depot in Gretna with 5 people being detained. I'm Cassie Sherm. I'm an investigative reporter here in New Orleans, and here's what we know. Federal agents from ICE reportedly swooped into a Home Depot along the West Bank Expressway early this morning. According to police, 5 people were detained. Police say all arrests were made by ICE. The local police department did not file charges or process the suspects.
The subjects took off running. We assisted with them and apprehended them. They took custody of them. I don't know what the charges are with the City of Gretna Police Department. Did not charge anyone.
One person allegedly tried to run across the expressway during the raid, but was eventually caught by ICE after what witnesses described a very tense chase. Local immigration advocates are criticizing the raid, calling attention to the impact in families and emphasizing that detentions like these can happen without clear evidence of criminal wrongdoing.
It was very disturbing in that video how the person filming, even though the law allowed him to do exactly what he was doing, even though the video shows he committed no crime, an agent still chased him with zip ties.
We're either going to show the world what we have here in New Orleans starting in December, or we're going to show them that we got nothing and we're just going to roll over.
At this time, ICE and local authorities have not released the identities of those detained, and it's unclear whether charges will be filed or what the immigration status is. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know. Comment.
For the first time in 12,000 years, a silent volcano has erupted, blasting so much ash in the atmosphere, it disrupted flight paths across half of Asia. A volcano in Ethiopia hurled thousands of tons of ash nearly 9 miles high, with a giant plume drifting from the Middle East all the way to northern India. Locals say it sounded like a bomb going off. A huge shockwave, and only then did scientists confirm it was the first eruption ever recorded, lasting several hours. Villages around the crater are covered in thick grey ash, coating homes, water supplies and grazing land. No casualties have been reported, but farmers say their animals are starving and fear a massive economic hit. The volcano sits in the Rift Valley, one of the most active geological zones on Earth, but even scientists are stunned because there have been no known eruptions for nearly 12,000 years. The ash cloud didn't just darken the sky, it caused major aviation chaos across the Middle East and India. More than 20 flights were cancelled or diverted, including Air India, grounding 11 services, Akasa halting routes to Kuwait and Abu Dhabi, and Indigo Air diverting planes mid-air. India's aviation regulator warned airlines to stay clear of contaminated airspace, with airports from Mumbai to Delhi telling passengers to expect delays. Meteorologists say the plume is now drifting east towards China, but it's already given the world a rare look at a volcano, waking up after 12 millennia of silence.
So now we start today's lesson. We'll start here first in Luke chapter 21. So we're seeing one thing behind another, and also what caught my attention with that crisis in Hong Kong, they had bamboo scaffolding. You know, we all know how bamboo is very flammable. So, hey, it's just by design. It has just been manufactured. Once again, we're not ignorant of Satan's device. So a lot of things is happening overseas, also right here in our own backyard. That's why we got to be watchful. We got to be always vigilant, you know what I'm saying? Being circumspect, you know, because the days are evil. These things are constantly picking up left and right. So we'll start here first in Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21, and we'll start up around verse 9. Luke chapter 21 and verse 9, we'll start here first. It says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotion, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." So we're seeing right now these things must first come to pass. And the Lord said, hey, don't panic, don't be terrified, because these are the signs of the time, before the Lord return. Also, our salvation, our great deliverance. So that's exactly what we're seeing. Let's read in the NLT. It says, and when you hear of wars and insurrection, don't panic. Yes, these things must take place first, but the end won't follow immediately. So exactly what we're seeing right now, we already know the birth pain. We're constantly seeing it left and right. Things are constantly increasing, just like the Bible said. Verse 10 is that then said he Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. So that's exactly what we're seeing each and every day. These nations are rising against nation. We're seeing what? The war drums are beating all across the world, left and right, all sorts of calamities and catastrophes. Different things are constantly picking up. The love of many is waxing colder and colder. We're constantly seeing these things left and right, all sorts of strange weather patterns, also volcanic activity, eruptions across the world. Things are just picking up left and right, all sorts of commotion, noise. That's what the Lord said. These things will happen, just like the Bible said. Verse 11 said, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famine, pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. So we already seeing right now, every day it's an earthquake somewhere. So this one right here, the most recent one happened Thanksgiving morning in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, 6.0, very nice sizable earthquake, so these things are happening. So the vibration of the earth is constantly changing, it's waking up, what I'm saying? We're seeing right now, these things are right before our eyes, it's happening diverse places, in different places around the world, famine, it's already rumors of famine, a great economic collapse, a lot of things, the sown places are going to become unsown, a lot of things are constantly happening, food shortage, these things are coming upon us, we keep telling you, it's also 2026, they're talking about resetting everything, pestilence, these plagues, the disease, constantly on the rise. They said this new bird flu outbreak. A lot of things are happening left and right. Fearful sights. We're seeing these fearful sights left and right. We're seeing what happened in Hong Kong. That was very fearful. A lot of people was unalive. People still are not accounted for, and also thousands of people now are homeless. So we see it right now. All of a sudden, when you're in your security, when you're relaxing, when you're celebrating, eating and drinking and being married, all of a sudden, total destruction will come upon you. That's what we're constantly seeing. Great signs shall there be from heaven. So we see these great signs and wonders, all of a sudden, they keep telling you about this three-eye atlas. They're telling you about the UFO sightings constantly each and every day, so that's the Lord is visiting the earth that he created through the eyes. Who are the eyes? The angels, Negro man's riding around what they even call UFO or UAP, but we know them as the chariot of the Most High spacecraft, beholding the good and the evil. So we're seeing these fearful sights, these great signs from heaven. So exactly what's happening left and right. These things going to constantly pick up to the great and glorious return of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. So these things are happening. So we knowing that this man is causing all this chaos. He love it left and right. He got to cause something to happen, someone to fall. Let's go here, Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 16. Let's get this one right quick. It says here straight to the point. It says, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. So we already knowing that this is all by design. We know the devices of the wicked. We know it exactly caused the chaos and bring forth the solution all across the world. This man is trying to bring forth that agenda, total control, that grain of rice. That's where we at right now. It's coming to that. A lot of people looking at, it's just something just happened. It'll be all right. This is just, just a little something bad that happened, but things is going to return to normal. Nothing is going back to normal. This man is going to constantly cause all sorts of mischief, all sorts of evils. What I'm saying? One thing about it, said through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, these things are going to happen left and right. Let's read in the NLT. Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 16 in NLT. It said, for evil people can't sleep until they done their evil deeds for the day. They can't rest until they cause someone to stumble. So one thing about it, we seeing what happened in Washington, D.C., Psyops, propaganda, what I'm saying, crisis actors, the list go on and on. What's the other one? UK Ultra, that mind control. If I'm hoping I'm saying that right, but we're seeing right now that, this is the old playbook left and right. All of a sudden, these two National Guards all of a sudden was wounded and the shooter was arrested. All of a sudden now they very quickly to deploy 500 more National Guard into Washington, D.C. What in the hell is this man what do you want to do with all these troops? Go up against the U.S. citizens. We're not ignorant of Satan's device. This man wants civil war. He wants that order out of chaos to bring forth this new system. That's what they are loaning for. But one thing about it, they're in for a rude awakening. The Lord is getting ready to return and take him out of the way. Verse 7 said, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. That's exactly what he's doing. The earth was given into the hands of the wicked. And out of his body, the power is in his hand. When you go to Micah chapter 2 and verse 1, this man is, constantly, that's all he know. Wickedness is exceedingly great, but the Lord's getting ready to return. Get this man out of the way, oh Lord. How long, oh Lord? You know what I'm saying? This man is using everything at his disposal because what? He's seeing that his days are determined. So now let's go here to Ecclesiastes. Let's go here, because a lot of people right now, this Thanksgiving day, they in the house of mirth. They drinking and married, having a great old time. They happy to be here, but you're going to be happy to die here very soon because the Lord's getting ready to destroy this place. It says here, Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 2 says, it is better to go to the house of mourning, said than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men. And the living will lay it to his heart. So one thing about it, a lot of people right now in the house of mirth, a house of food, drinking and being merry, constantly being despisers of the words of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear nothing about good or about the word of the Lord. They want to hear all about wickedness. You know what I'm saying? Our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And also they are stiff-headed, constantly being rebellious to this day. And one thing in the house of mourning, even though we are suffering right now, even though we are being patient, we are constantly enduring. But the Lord said the same did endure, the same shall be saved. The one that's in the house of mourning, the true believers of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua, starting with the prophet and also the great multitude that the Lord is getting ready to return for, the house of David, the Israel of the Most High. So let's go here and drop down a little bit more. It said, verse 3 says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. So one thing about it, the Lord is constantly refining us. The Lord is constantly, setting us back into order. We're what's called walking the straight gate, levels of adversity. But the Lord is putting us back. You know what I'm saying? Is that fine gold, the elect, the true believers of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, that's the Lord is constantly perfecting us through all this sorrow, all this mourning, all this adversity. The Lord is making us stronger and stronger. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He said, through much tribulation, ye shall enter the kingdom of heaven. He's making us better and better. He's refining us. You know what I'm saying? As the true elect, the saints of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua, the one that's constantly magnifying his name, the one that's constantly warning, sounding the alarm, blowing the trumpet, warning you all these opinions of death. We ain't giving a damn about Thanksgiving, ex-Christmas, or not New Year, none of that shit. We're trying to seek the Lord and get the hell out of here. Verse 4 said, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, said, but the heart of fools are in the house of mirth. So, the people that are very foolish, sided, stiff-necked, very wicked, despising the words of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua, they in the house of mirth. All they want to do is drink. All they want to do is twerk. You know what I'm saying? Where the fans at? The boots on the ground, twerking and having a great old time. You know what I'm saying? He constantly being loud, disrespectful, constantly doing things that's displeasing to Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua. All sorts of wickedness. And the Lord's getting ready to return, and melt you. Leave you here and melt you. You know what I'm saying? You getting ready to feel the fire. So right here, let's get this last one here. So the house of the wise is in the house of mourning, which in fact are the true believers of Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua. Verse 5 said, it is better to hear, let's drop down Salaka. This the one I want read. Verse 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 8 said, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. So a lot of our people are very proud. The Lord said, many great misery will befall you because you have walked in great pride. The one that's in the house of mirth, the one that's constantly celebrating these wicked pagan holidays, constantly doing things that is displeasing to Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, you love it here, but you get ready to die here. We at the end of this thing. It's better the end of the thing than the beginning. If we're at the end of this thing, we cannot wait. We're ready to get the hell out of this nightmare once again. So now let's go to our last and final script. Let's go here to 1 Peter chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It says here, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary or your enemy, the devil, the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of, as a roaring lion walks about, seeking whom he may devour. So exactly what this man is doing, left and right, seeking who he may devour, who he can cause to fall, who he can get caught up in this evil net, this trap that he's getting ready to bring forth, left and right. You know what I'm saying? This NWO. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people right now going to get caught up in this man is like a roaring, goddamn wild man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said, was it vigilant, mean being watchful? Stay alert. Let's read in NLT. It says, stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, said the devil. He pounced around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. That's each and every day. So we know that the devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath because he knowing that his time is very short. And also we knowing that the Lord is constantly causing these things to happen all around the world simultaneously. You know, for the controversy of Zion. The Lord is getting ready to return. The Lord is bringing forth judgment like we have never seen before. The Lord is getting ready to destroy this place. All our enemies, the Lord is getting ready to take them out of the way. And the Lord is getting ready to usher in the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. So right there, that is the global, that is the reset, what is coming. You know what I'm saying? The kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. So our salvation is at the door. The Lord is coming to set everything back into order. So the title of the day's lesson, once again, is News and Prophecy, Global Events, Psyops, Propaganda, and Chaos. So I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.